Welcome to Three Cups and a Dash podcast. This week, we are exploring what to do when you feel like you need to step back into an intuitive flow after you kind of been stuck for a while. With that, cue the music. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Three Cups and a Dash podcast. Stacy here with the fabulous Michelle and Carissa. Hi, ladies.
Hello, hello.
Hi, everyone.
There it is, Carissa. You didn't do it last time. You did it
I
this time. You're
know.
saving it for us. You're keeping us in the guess.
Yeah,
The guess.
keeping you
You're
on your
keeping us in
toes.
in the guess. That's exactly what I was aiming for. Today we are kind of branching off last 2 weeks ago's podcast, whatever it is, of the things that stopped your flow. Not the tampons or anything. We're talking intuitive
Oh
flow here.
my
And talking about stepping back into your intuitive flow. And if you find that you have a hard time or things are just slowing down for you, what do you do?
Love it.
Yeah, I'm here so you guys can tell me what to do because I've been experiencing that since January.
Hey, here's a quick one that you guys can do for the listeners. I got trained in Iris Yoga Nidra, or you can do Yoga Nidra, and you get it on Insight Timer. You can get it, I don't know, you can Google it. But the whole concept or premise of Yoga Nidra is to step out of attachment and the ego, and it's to learn how to be an observer, so and hold suffering and joy at the same time. And then I was thinking about that.
I have a question before you continue.
You go.
What is the difference between yoga nidra and Irish
I
yoga nidra?
rest. That's a good question. So a psychologist, Dr. Richard Miller, took it and added more, it made it more psychology through a psychological lens,
Okay.
basically. So, y'all know when we are in the intuitive flow, we can't stop things that may hurt us, right? Or may bring us joy. And do y'all notice when we're in the intuitive flow, we can just feel it, experience it, learn from it, and continue to go? It's so interesting how, of course, this is like over what 5,000 plus years old. When we get in that space of holding sorrow, pain, and joy combined, we and as the observer, we are in that intuitive flow. Okay, so let me go back, circle back, tie it all in. Irish Yoga Nidra or Yoga Nidra. Look it up, guys. Start meditating. It is a really cool practice to help you get into the intuitive flow, but try not to fall asleep.
Yeah, I might be guilty of that. I meditate, sometimes falling asleep.
So, but when we fall asleep, sometimes that's actually prime opportunity for us to level up though too. And that's exactly what we need even in meditation. So I'm just
Yeah,
gonna throw that out there.
the unconscious is still going.
So I want to ask you a question, Michelle, because you said this episode is kind of for you. So I'm gonna pick on you a little bit.
Okay, well, I hope I have
No.
the answers. I hope I don't cry.
What makes you think your intuitive flow is stopped?
Things just don't feel like they did before. When the whole world had slowed down, when I'm learning, and I know that I'm learning and I'm picking up new things, and everything is so exciting and probably more illuminated or bigger than they feel right now. They're coming in so fast, so quick. But then as the world started to pick back up, I got busier, my schedule got busier, demands became more demanding. And for me, the first thing to go, which I really wanted to be the last thing to go, is making that time for myself, to do
First,
my spiritual practices.
I hate it when demands get demanding because I think that's a bunch of bull.
Mhm.
Got more demanding. They got louder. They
Yeah,
like
they got
Mhm.
box me
louder.
in.
One of the things that's really coming to me though, very honestly, is it's not that it's shut down, it's shifted. And is it possible that when we get busy and I'm not just picking on you at this point in time, I'm kind of picking on myself too. Is it possible that when we get busy and things shift and we have those demanding demands and things like get really, really, really hectic and crazy in our lives, that it's not that we're not seeing it, but we are not taking the time to notice it?
It's outside of our conscious awareness, and
Yeah,
that it's actually still happening. We're just not consciously aware of it.
we're not taking the time to smell the roses or to tap into those things. But it's just very frustrating to me because
We
it
want
is,
the roses thrown at our faces.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I want the answers all the time. I want to have my cake and eat it too. But, it's not possible. So
Is it fair to say that I'm hearing you say you want to live in the flow and just experience it when you're experiencing all of the things?
I want to find that balance between the human self and the spiritual self. But if I had to give more attention to one thing, I would like to be in the flow more,
Mhm.
I think.
I mean, I'd love to be in the flow every day, but I go in and out. Some days it's in and out. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's a few minutes. And I was thinking about that the other day, and this whole concept of you learn when you suffer.
Ew.
I know. I love to just argue anything, right? And see the other side, but is that what we were taught to believe? We learn through suffering, or do we really have to do that?
Well, you're making me step into this question because now I am fully pondering, is it actually stopped, or is it stopped because we believe it stopped? Is it
Mhm.
are we actually creating or manifesting or setting an intention that because we're not seeing it or we're not opening up to it as much as we want to, we're not actually experiencing it? Does that make sense? It's
Yeah.
like,
It's because word and thought can manifest. I mean, saying it out loud puts more power behind it, but even thinking it does have power also.
right.
Very
So when you say that, Michelle, though, does that possibly help you go, maybe I'm breaking my own, like I'm putting the brakes on my own flow, my own intuition?
definitely.
Yeah.
I could see that, and it does make sense, and it is resonating. To
And
be
I
part of
hope you don't
it.
feel like I'm picking on you too much. It's just that like a lot of this is absolutely so normal, right?
It is so normal. So maybe like I'm also unrealistic in my expectations as to how intuition is supposed to flow. Maybe I'm thinking it
Mm.
has to
Mm.
be front and center every day, where maybe my path in life is just to have it here or there. Um,
What
yeah,
if
I
it was
put a
part
lot
of
of
our
pressure. It gives me a
lives?
headache
Yeah.
sometimes.
What if it kind of was a pattern, like, it was a part of our lives and we don't need to keep it separate? What if we go out to, you know, the most boring thing that we have to do during the day, and, intuition can become easily a part of that too. I do, for example, the most boring thing in the world is I'm a certified tax prep for my job. Super boring.
What? I did
Yeah,
not know this.
that's
You
because
do some of the taxes?
heck yeah, I do. Yeah, the most boring thing in the world.
Oh.
Sorry to all of the people out there that like numbers. So if I'm sitting there in tax prep and I'm focusing on preparing this for somebody, why can't I bring intuition into that too? What if I turned that into a game? Is this person gonna owe, or are they going to get something back? You know, and is that kind of taking advantage, or is that creating a fun way for flow to come in?
It's definitely a fun way for flow to come in, and I'll do that sometimes, like, if someone's gonna have a baby, is it a boy? Is it a girl? What is my intuition? Just
Yeah.
being there. But like if my intuition is gonna be patterned into my life, I want to be clued into how that pattern works because I haven't discovered it yet. And that for me is frustrating because it's like I have been doing this for years now, like 4 years now. Again, impatience, all the things we talked about last time. And I still don't feel like I have a grip on what's going on. And it's frustrating to me. So that probably is slowing down the flow too.
Well, I feel like it's almost like you're putting up your own roadblock. What do you want it to look like? Why
Yeah,
can't it look like what you want it to be?
here's my pattern. I have ADHD, which I think comes from trauma, right? There's two theories, genetic or trauma. And I'm a runner. I'm a runner. Look at this. Look at that. Look at there. Look at there. I'm going to go here. You know? And I know what my pattern is. And I'm not going to fight it.
And it's learning to work with your
It's
pattern.
see, you just read my mind. You literally, I was about to say that, and you just said it before me. Literally, right.
That makes sense. You know, the other day, and I'm going to share this, I had a Reiki session with Stacy, and one of the things that came through very strong was to step back into my spiritual practices or bring more of the practices back in, do certain things maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, but that it was really important for me to do that. But I'm struggling. So, any advice on when somebody's struggling to bring those practices back in? I'm sure starting small is a good idea. Um,
See, Carissa, she doesn't realize how intuitive she's being because she just took the words right out of my mouth. Start small. That's literally what I was about to say. Um, Starting
Start
small
small.
okay,
is key.
episode over.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Episode over.
step one is releasing expectations when you're rebalancing yourself and recommitting to that spirituality, right? So what I think you and I talked about is reintroducing it into your life at a regular interval. And I think what we do is we go, well, when I was at my best, I would sit in meditation for an hour, easy. And I would sit and I would get these things, but releasing that expectation of where we were and instead looking at where we are and saying, you know what, I only have 5 minutes today. I only have 2 minutes today. And starting and just inserting those 2 minutes into our day will allow us to kind of get back to where we were. It's the same thing, with exercise, for example. If you used to be a power lifter and you decide you want to go back to the gym, you're not going to put 300 pounds of weight and deadlift it as soon as you go back after a few years or even a few months or even a few weeks of exercising because your body is not acclimated to that heavy of a lift. You'll hurt yourself. You will damage your body. And you got to start small. You start sometimes with the bar, maybe the bar plus 10 pounds on each side. And it can be a little disappointing, but you will build up very quickly to where you were.
You know what's really interesting? Tying back into Stacy saying, what if it's never off? What if you're always and it's outside of your conscious awareness? We now have research that shows we have scientific tools that can read and sense the electric magnetic field of your heart a few feet away. Meaning, when we walk into a room, we can sense and feel what other people are feeling. Doesn't mean that's empathy, right? Because that's stepping to their shoes and walking out. But what does that say? It's never turned off. That's part of your intuition, walking in and sensing what people are feeling or vibing in the room.
Mhm.
We now got science. It never turns off.
I love science.
I do. Because it can prove to people and to myself, really, it's to myself. There's some science that backs it. I love when science backs all that quote unquote wooey stuff. I love it. Finally.
Well,
You're
here's
having
kind of what I'm thinking because when I first started my process, as I said, everything was new, everything felt new. And then there almost felt like a turning point. And this is one of my battles. And maybe this is what's kind of holding me back as we discuss. And now everything's flowing. I started my awakening later in life. And now I feel like time is running out to understand
Oh,
and
yeah.
make up for lost time. So maybe my
Yeah.
impatience or my fear, like I'm not going to learn enough, is slowing that now. Where
Well, and
before
that's
that wasn't part of the equation.
that's a real thing too when you get older. You start I know for me, like I start looking into the future, how much longer do I have? I told y'all the story when I went to Sedona Remember, I was having the existential crisis. I took a year off of school. Like, what do I want to do? How much time do I have left to work? And when I was hiking by myself, my older self on her deathbed came to me and she goes, and without moving her lips, "Thank you for taking all these adventures." And I was like, oh, okay. It's kept going because it was, when it comes in, the images and stuff, it's like out like that. And I'm like, okay. Then when I went to the shamanism retreat, which was on land, sacred land with vortexes, she came back and she said, without moving her lips, "You're a baby." And that's where I choked up and tears started coming out because she was, from her perspective, I was a baby, meaning I do have all this life left. We never know how much life we have left, but what you're experiencing is valid. We do
Mhm.
start going through that and feeling that.
Well, and honestly, I want to add to that, Carissa, because I think your approach is absolutely beautiful because I think we have more time than we give ourselves credit for.
Mhm.
But what if there is no time to make up for? What if where we were before we opened up was exactly where we were supposed to be, and that was part of our path towards opening up? Are we
Well, if
really
that's
missing
the
that time?
case, I want a refund on my
I
$40
wonder if that one.
because why would I choose to live this life without my abilities? I don't know.
You're
I
you're not
want
wrong, but what I will say is like if we kind of dive in a little bit to intention setting, when we come down to this earth to wear these meat suits, we kind of have a rough idea of the experiences we want. So what if your experience was I want to open up later in life?
When I was young, like, I got to be put in some kind of like music, little kid video. And then I don't even know how this happened. I was 11 or 12. There was a movie, a famous movie that was being filmed. And I don't know how she got my information. I don't know. I'm sure we put it in somehow, but I don't remember. And they wanted me for this part. And my mom was like, they called my mom. She's like, "I can't take her. Well, can we bring a taxi cab to pick her up?" And then on that moment, I said no because that was scary. And then fast forward, my friend and I at 18 moved to LA. We're like, we'll just do some extra work for films, wait tables, go to community college, then go to UCLA, and then just transfer in. And then I saw these women dressed in cocktail attire during lunchtime, and I was just like, "Oh, that just doesn't feel right." Going back home. Fast forward to studying astrology, working with astrologer right now, I have the chart of a celebrity. And all that time, a lot of time, I was like, if only I would have gotten into the cab. If only I wouldn't have been afraid and stayed in LA. And then all the stuff came out, the Me Too movement and the women. And I look back and I go, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God.
So can you share with us what that movie was as a child?
Oh, it was, y'all probably don't even know. It's what's eating Gilbert Grape?
Of course I
Oh,
know
with,
it.
Oh,
Johnny
y'all
Depp?
do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank
Yeah, it is Johnny
God.
Depp too, by the way. Yeah,
Thank
you're right.
God, though. Thank God. Seriously.
Well, and it's interesting because this has me kind of looking back because I know I've been a reader as you guys know for quite a while. However, I started and stopped for quite a period of time. Like I've been reading for a really long time, yes, because I could pick up a deck of cards and read whenever, wherever, whatever. Um, but I did not allow my intuition to open up beyond that for a really long time. I would say
Mhm.
that, like, outside of cards, intuitively opening up, maybe the last 4 years or so. And that's because I had to experience different life things, that would have impacted me a little bit differently if I had been more openly intuitive. Part of intuitively opening is also stepping into uh more positive outlook too in kind of an interesting way. It really does shift the way you see life. Because I know we were talking about gratitude, for example, being able to shift into gratitude, it helps you raise your vibration, and
Mhm.
raising your vibration opens you up intuitively, and like all of these things play off of each other. But if it had happened to me 6 7 years ago, I don't think I would have been in a place to accept it. I don't think I
Mhm.
would have been where I am today. Um, and there are a plethora of different reasons for that, but I know without a doubt that the timeline of things unfolding, even though time, we talked about before, doesn't really exist, blah,
Mhm.
blah, 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 universal planning, blah, 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 blah. I know without a doubt that the way things unfolded were the way things were supposed to unfold. And stepping back into intuition, which I know is what we're here to talk about, just takes one step forward. It's
Mhm.
just one small change. You don't need to go back to where you were. It's just one small Michelle, I am amazing. I am Michelle. I am amazing. I am an intuitive. It's just kind of going, you know what? I know I am. I know that this is a part of who I am now. And I'm so like, and just believing that we can get what we are looking for. Sorry, I have somebody here with me that's just kind of
Is
dancing.
it Hector the Spectre, our
There's
podcast ghost? Is he there?
The
I'm
podcast.
thinking so. Like I'm like watching this and it's interesting because it's dancing around. But I think it's important. Maybe it's coming through because it's like this is important. It's important, I don't
And
know.
it's all about timing. I opened up things were happening when I was 18, and I didn't shut it down. I just pushed it out of my conscious awareness. And I had told myself, what would my life would have been like if I just wouldn't have, and it because it got it's scary, it's big, it's huge concepts my brain can't understand. What would my life been like if I would have just stayed on track? I don't know, but it would have messed things up. I'm happy where I'm at. It would have messed things up.
It definitely would have changed things. I look back in my life, it's always been there. I had a grandma. I still have a grandma. She's just passed away, but she's one of my guides. But she was supposed to be a teacher here. She passed away early, so I feel like I missed out on some of those lessons. But I have key moments that I can remember from my childhood, like really weird moments that a 3-year-old wouldn't think about, a 9-year-old wouldn't think about. So it's always been there. But again, it was quiet then. When it was supposed to open up, it did. And then it feels quiet now, but I still get things through. I just want more. I'm like a greedy little greedy person. I don't know what
So
that is.
Well,
Start
oh,
small.
there's a book, and I'd have to look it up. He's a neuroscientist researcher, and it talks about, oh, let me get it. So, the revelations, you have those like huge revelations, the insights, and then you have the small ones. And it feels so good to have he was literally talking about this, how it feels so amazing and so great, and it does. What it sounds like is you're kind of hungry for those, like the, "Oh," you know what I'm talking about? What's the word?
Ah,
What's the word?
life-changing moments. I don't know.
Oh, it's life change that's what he talks about that. It literally feels like life-changing moments. The big there it is, the big E's and the little E's, the big enlightenments, and then we have these small enlightenments every day.
Hey, I do have a question for you because both of these terms have been brought up during this episode. We've talked about intentions and we've talked about manifesting. Can you share with the listeners like what the difference is or what you feel the difference is between the two?
Intentions to me are the overarching umbrella. So, an intention in my viewpoint is this is the direction or this is the hope or this is what I'm trying to bring into my life. So an intention, for example, for this podcast, the overarching goal would be to reach millions of people and help somehow enrich their lives, right? Whereas when I sit down to manifest, that is, I am directing my energy to make that happen. I am manifesting to create and build my intentions. I am manifesting my intentions. So I'm manifesting my goals. And I
And they
think
still
they
they still
feed.
mean the same too.
Yeah. I think they feed one another. It's
Yeah.
very cyclical. So I think they can be used interchangeably too.
And
So
Interchangeably.
I'm
intentions
always
are more like how you want to live your life. They're the things you tell yourself daily to
That
set up,
overarching. Yeah.
yeah, to set up the flow for the day, for the year, for the decade, whatever. And then manifest
Manifesting.
Massive manifestations. Yes.
Manifestations, they're really, how do you bring that into fruition and putting your power of thought, your power word behind that, and even visualization, already seeing yourself sitting there, already seeing yourself achieving what that goal is and helping to bring it into reality.
And being mindful of the intention matching the impact, because we'll have that intention and we're thinking, this is what I want, but you have to be really careful with that intention because it can get you a totally different impact.
Well, and I think with manifesting, when we look and talk about manifestation, we have to be open to all possibilities to take us where we want to go to.
Yep.
So my intention or my goal, it might be one thing, but the universe says, okay, if you manifest this though, it might look completely different.
Hmm.
So,
But it may feel the same.
right, right. And
Yes.
and it's interesting because I was actually doing a Reiki session a little while ago on somebody who was really kind of struggling just creating balance. And actually, Michelle, this was not you. She was struggling with finding a balance in life. And so when I stepped into the Reiki treatment, my guide came through and said, I want you to practice a manifestation for her, and gave me a step-by-step process to go through, and I did it, and I manifested exactly what we had talked about and what they saw and what she wanted in her life, um which cleared out what wasn't serving her but brought in what would serve her, right? And when I wrapped that up, they were like, okay, now do it for you. Because one of the tough thing is when we're setting intentions, for example, for like 5 different things, and we wanna manifest all of those 5 different things at the same time, we slow ourselves down because we're focused on so many different areas or so many different goals all at once that the universe goes, "Okay, we're working on all of them, but it's gonna take more time because we're going in 5 different directions." So, that's where, a friend of mine was like, "Pick 1." Pick one intention and manifest that. And then she flat out said, all of your manifestations are coming and they're down the line and they're going to work out the way they're supposed to work out, but your focus is so spread out that it's slowing down that manifestation. Your intentions for all of them are slowing down the manifestation for each one. So when my guide came through in that session, I said, okay, I'll focus on one thing, and I did, I followed the thing. I did the steps they wanted me to do that day and the next day. And I know now I can feel that it's closer. Is that
First I drink the coffee, then I do the things.
that is
That's
what
her
my friend said.
t-shirt. That's
Mhm.
her t-shirt.
Oh, I'm like, wait a
Only
minute. What are you talking
That
about
was,
right
yeah,
now? But I
random insertion.
that
is
really tied
random.
into what you were saying. Your shirt's tied into it.
Yep, one manifestation at a time.
Mhm.
Have
So
several intentions.
manifestations need to be specific.
It's
They
like
can't.
smart goals.
Okay. So don't just pull out there or put out there, I want a blue car, make it more specific. I want a blue car that's got power window. You can tell my age right now. Power windows, that's the
Yeah,
best.
they do not remember rolling them down.
So I think
Oh,
that
I'm
it's
sure some of
actually
them
a
do.
little bit more allowing the expansion than that. Like, see yourself driving a
Like,
car.
how do you
Start
wanna
with a car,
feel? How do you wanna feel in the blue car? So you may not get the blue car,
but you
but
might
you
get
get
something
that.
that's better.
Yeah, because the universe will give you that feeling.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
And
it.
and
And
I do remember rolling down windows, by the way, because that's still a saying today. It's roll down your window, but it's just a button now.
yeah, well, thank you for letting me feel less old. Well, before we wrap up this episode, let's just kind of recap those things that can help us step back into the intuitive flow if we feel like it's slowed down. First one, baby steps, small steps. Um, the second one that I wrote down is gratitude. Look at where you are, look at the experiences you've had, and appreciate all of those instead of being mad about them or second guessing them. What else?
I think setting your looking at your intentions and looking at, your growth. Where do you want, like, what is it that you're actually looking to get out of the growth? And being open to all possibilities. Because if we're so focused on one outcome, we could very easily disappoint ourselves. But being open and having fun. Always have fun.
Having fun. Really, just have fun and enjoy. Life's over before you know it. Just have fun. Really, have fun in what you do.
Release the self-doubt, release the expectations, release
Have
the
fun.
impatience
Stop
and
comparing
the
yourself.
comparisons, and just embrace where you are. And that really is the thing, because I find when I settle in to who I am and where I am right now, and I can be grateful for everything and sit in that high vibration, I let everything else go, and then it starts to flow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
and I think when you can find gratitude too in the things that you're being challenged with, it creates this interesting sort of space, because I know, to share a little bit more, I have been having a hard time, and my friend said, "Well, look at that loss, or whatever loss you're getting from this manifestation that you're setting, as each time you hear no, it creates more room for what is meant to be." And
That's
if
what I
you
was
open
just thinking.
yeah, you open yourself up to all possibilities and you have fun. Every time you get that door closing, you can look at that door and say, "Thank you for not screwing up my life, because I'm
Mhm.
obviously not supposed to work with you or
Right.
be with you or do the things with you," right?
Right. Exactly. It's
Yeah,
taking
and
you to
remember when you're setting intentions too, to really put your heart into them. Don't just say the words, put your heart into them, feel them. What does that feel like to you? And I think that will help the process along too. I mean, you just like when you pray, you don't just say the words, you're having a conversation and you're putting your deepest thoughts and your most vulnerable self into them.
You place yourself there, right? Like, you place yourself into your intentions or your manifestations. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What does it sound like? What is the experience that I'm having with this thing that I want? When we look at our experiences and we can explore those, yeah, we have fun. It turns fun. It becomes an adventure. And then when things unfold, you can see kind of those stepstones of creation that you've made.
Okay, well,
the
I'm gonna
power.
be releasing any expectations and pressure on myself and just being grateful for where I'm at, because I am having experiences. It's just not what I think they should be. So that's an ego thing. That's not a spiritual thing. So I'm gonna work on that. Thank you, ladies.
And
I
always call us, because we'll tell you how amazing you are.
or what a brat I'm being, because I'll tell you, during points of this conversation, I just felt like a whiny brat. And I'm sure my guys think that too.
I don't think you sounded like one. I think that you're being completely and totally valid.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think you're amazing.
And it sounds like we're wrapping up, are we? Because
We
I was
are,
gonna
unless
say
you have
something.
something to share. Throw something out there, Carissa.
We're going to another haunted hotel.
We are. I'm super excited. We're going to, do we want to say or wait?
We're going to the Hotel Galvez.
Yes,
I'm
in
gonna stay in the
Galveston.
haunted room.
Yep.
And this time, I think I'm gonna get one of those Ring cameras so it can record overnight, because that man who woke me up in the middle of the night who was talking outside of my head,
Uh-huh.
maybe that'll pick up.
I have new pieces of equipment I need to learn to work with, but Stacy, here's the best part. I found an excursion that is ghost hunting on segways, and I'm getting video, Chris, on that thing. I'm just telling
Oh,
you, and I'm
Oh,
gonna post it.
please do, because unfortunately I cannot join you in Texas this go round. So I'll be,
But we're coming to the East Coast soon, this
I hope
fall.
so.
this
Yeah.
summer, late summer, yep.
Yeah. We'll definitely find a place and it'll be great.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
gonna be fun.
Okay,
I can't
Carissa,
wait.
you pack the Swiffers, okay?
Okay.
Yes. I guess with that, I'm gonna say stay classy.
Stay sassy.
And stay badassy, because you already are. Until next time,
Bye,
bye.
guys.
Bye, guys.